you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here. I will try to present the Lilas for Soil project. It's an Horizon Europe initiative exploring how fostering carbon farming practices through living lab methodology in the Mediterranean and Southern European countries for the healthy future of European soil. Just for the framework, you all well aware, we are part of the mission Soil Health and Food, one of five others main areas that the European concentrating. The objective is to get to 2030 with a very healthy soils, more than 75% of the soils that will be accounted as healthy soils. And when we look on the building blocks, one of the main vehicle for doing that is to utilize the living lab and lighthouse methodology. So Lilas for Soil is part of the mission soils and the effort to restore soil health across Europe. The project established 5 living labs in across 6 Mediterranean countries. You can see Spain and Portugal is one living lab, France, Italy, Greece, and Israel. This living lab tests more than 20 carbon farming practices, which I will present shortly, in a real agricultural condition, working with farmers. The goal is not only research, but practical demonstration and transformation of farming system to more resilient and low emission agriculture. The soil health sits in the intersection, of course, of water, food, climate, and ecosystem, which is exactly why this is relevant for the Nexus, the WEFE Nexus framework. The objective, as I mentioned, and I will not repeat it a lot, but maybe just one more, is to standardize and to use MRV technologies and test innovation to assist us to create science and data that will be hand over to farmers to adoption. So a living lab is, we use an old definition, of course, you know better than I, but the main points we want to emphasize is that this approach allows us to test practices under real economic and environment condition. At the real site, it's very important, which dramatically improve adoptions. What you see here is that we adopted the quintuple helix of innovation in a multi-stakeholders adoption. But during the process, in the context of our living lab, we identified that there is a 6 sector that need to be clear, and the farmers in the middle. So we changed from farmer and industry to the separated sectors. So we have farmer sectors and industry, and it's worked very good for us when we are going to soil health and carbon farming practices. Here I wanted to mention our role, the unique role of orchestration. You cannot have enough importance on how to create the orchestration. This is the main power of the program. If the orchestration is not working well, if you're not aware about all the other sector needs and motivation, then the course of the project will be totally different. So Lilas, we mentioned across Europe and different. I wanted to share here is that we have a transversal partners of the Living Lab that serves all the geographics, but in each geographic Living Lab, what we have is the different representative of the stakeholders. In our case, we are Migal representing the research and the academia, We have our own partners, which is Granot and Ibana, which does a farmers organization, but they bring also the industry perspective. And we have the local regional council that will be representing the authorities, and will further on will conduct activities in that regards of the position paper and etc. Just in numbers, we identified now it's 20 carbon farming practices that we will talk about it, and we had two already call for proposal, one for additional farmers to join the project, and one is for technology companies to test in real life setting their MRV technology, and it's all been funded through the project. And we have a lot of impacts figures that we hope that we will reach the impact of the project in the future. The project maps 21 carbon farming practices. They are grouped into 5 main categories, which align to the EU carbon farming framework. A few examples is like cover crop practice, reduced tillage, improved nutrient management, agroforestry, and others. Maybe many of these practices are not new individually, but the innovation is in testing them systematically. The uniqueness of the program is that we are doing validation through testing and monitoring everything. The classification reflects the main mechanism influencing greenhouse gas emission and carbon sequestration. These frameworks also allow us to compare living lab across regions and connect to future MRV system and carbon market. A few words about the Israeli living lab, the Ragil. We already feel that we are creating the ecosystem around the country. So the Ragil ecosystem involves 25 active sites currently, and we hopefully next year will join another 4. The infrastructure is supported by steering and professional committees, including a philanthropic foundation that support us to increase the ability, and integrated with the digital platform from a company named Agmatics, which allow us to group all the data that coming from the monitoring and from the visiting of the farmer into one digital framework. Just in numbers, you can see we are already involved more than 25 farmers. Now we are building our community, so in the next activities, we will increase it and the involvement to be engaged with more than 75 farmers. We are the area of the demonstration plots is more than 150, and we have a very diverse stakeholders engaged in many diverse sites. Over here you can see the many different representative of the different sectors. This is from the launching event that we had last April, and what you can see is the many involved organizations that are in a very high level of. In Israel, we operate a network, as you mentioned. We decided to move all around of Israel. One of the criteria for us to be involved as a farmer is to get the farmers that are already engaged. They already have knowledge, or they have interest in implementing. Because when we look on the long run of a project, we want to manage the risk of the involvement of the stakeholders, and an already farmer that is involved in environmental and regenerative agriculture is a benefit, and that's why we had. Here you can see the list of sites with the different crops, wide diversity of crops, field crops, orchards, olive, and grazing system. The diversity is important because carbon farming solution must be adapted to each system. One interesting finding is that many farmers, when we applied the surveys before and during the workshops, we saw that many of them are already applying some carbon farming practices, even if they don't call it or they don't know how to call it as a regenerative, but they already apply it, which is also important to realize that when you're approaching new farmers, sometimes we need to be aware of not putting it as a new practices or something that they're already, and to encourage them to do it further and increasing it. Um, However, these practices are often fragmented and not systematically monitored, which is exactly what the Living Lab framework helps address. Just show you a few examples of, you can see on the right side of the map. This is the campaign, the monitoring campaign, the soil samples. So we divided for each plot for three polygons where we are implementing the soil samples according to the work package. So to show all together the launch events that was February to April, engaged 470 participants representing a wide area of stakeholders across the QHI model. You can see that. It was really uplifting and interesting. So who are the leaders for soil farmers? You can see that 60% of them are arable, 60 farms are arable land, permanent crops, grassland. The size is very changing from small farms classified as under 30 hectares, medium farms, and a large farm. Um, Cereal are the most widespread crop across all countries. Italy specialized in intensive arable crops. Mediterranean countries like Portugal, Greece, and Israel focus on tree crops. Livestock is present in all countries except for Greece. The top 10 carbon farming practices already applied are reduce soil disturbance, cover crops, nutrient planning, and crop rotation. When we asked stakeholder what success means, four elements came up. Soil health improvement, economic viability for farms, very, very important. Everything is hang on this point. It must be economically. Adoption at scale, reliable data for policy. Carbon farming will only scale if environmental impact and farm economics move together. Measuring soil carbon is very complex. That is why the project developed a common soil sampling protocol across all living lab. It uses multiple depths, repeated sampling, modeling, and sensing technology to have a model protocol. This creates a robust system of information. This is just to show. This is the parameters we are already measuring. Every country finalized the baseline campaign. Key features is we will do the full sets of the parameters in year 1 and year 4, and we will simplify set focus on soil organic carbon in between. That will allow us to do additional control plots. It's a matter of planning it. What we had during the process and activities, we had two different open calls. One was the MRV open call for technology to join us. It's closed, and now we're in the process of evaluating the winning technology. The incentive mechanism for the program is for the farmers is a direct funding €5,000 per site per year. We did it also for the additional 10 farmers for each country to join us. And also we mentioned the MRV technology. Upcoming activities. Sorry. Okay. We had our co-creation workshop. This was the second event after the launch event. It was finished. We were the last. The Israeli were the last in February 19. We gathered to a workshop. The goal was not to dictate rules, but to create an environment for shared learning to increase. We divided the day for morning session where we had all the stakeholders involved, government representative, academia, researchers, farmers. And the second, in the noon session, we had mostly the practical sectors, the farmers, the extension guys, where we wanted to understand more what are the barriers, what are the main challenges, what are the perspectives. The core insight was that adoption is a social process. In the roundtable, we revealed a crucial truth that farmers are not ideologically opposed to carbon farming. The prime barrier is not resistance to change, but to managerial uncertainty, economic uncertainty, professional uncertainty, and they call it sharing the risk, which is one of the main thing we need to think about it very well. And transition require making high stakes decision under intense economic and operational pressure. The second thing was that practices do not exist in a vacuum. And that means that we need to be very sensitive to the decision process of farmers and take into account all around decision that you need to support, you need to take, and we need to support it. An interconnected system, it was one of the insight came from the workshop, is that no challenge standalone. There is the process, there is the people, and a lot of data needs to be created and presented to the farmer to reduce the uncertainty through peer learning and to build the confidence required. Many others activities coming and maybe potential collaboration with other projects is that we need to present the soil sampling analysis. Now we need to select the exemplary selection of the lighthouse. What are the demo sites that will be the lighthouse where we can present field tours and showcase the success of carbon farming implementation. The monitoring of carbon farming practices, we understand that we need to be to support the farmer. So we're providing a consultancy for each farm where they're going to have a professional agronomist from our part that will escort them yearly around to support them with the decision, to support them with the implementing of the farmer. We are, of course, also part of or other projects that are involved, like Soil LL, where they are providing evaluation performance to the living labs, to the different living labs in categories like strategically, operation, business model, and impact. So we had already the first at the beginning, and now we're going to have in the midterm, we're going to have evaluation about the impact of the living lab. Many of the living lab process was based on other projects like Nashions and of course no, okay. So this is from my side. Thank you for your time. If there is any question, I'm very happy to open.